Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and I'm here to talk about books. I'm starting this reading vlog a little bit early. I'm starting it 2 days after Thanksgiving. We hosted this year, so it's just been chaos over here in my household, but good chaos. This time of year is so crazy. I would love to be the type of person that could do Vlogmas, but I just don't think that I have it in me to do that. Maybe one day in the future I'll be able to, but not this year. So I wanted to do a reading vlog where I read like wintry horror and thriller books, because that would be so much fun. Winter is one of my absolute favorite seasons to read in books. I love the snow. I love the cold, the creepy atmosphere. I feel like winter itself adds on that extra layer of creep that a lot of other settings and seasons don't really have. So yeah, winter settings are my absolute favorite for the dark and spooky. One of the books that I have on my TBR is one that I have been putting off for a very long time because it is the start of a series, but I did find a good Black Friday deal on the Kindle and audiobook version of this, so I'm throwing it on in here. And I'm finally going to read Voices in the Snow by Darcy Coates. I never looked into the premise of this book, but I was really trying to decide if I wanted to take advantage of that Black Friday deal. And so I did read the synopsis and it actually sounds really intriguing, even as a standalone. So we'll see. I just know that this book follows a girl who's in like a car accident of some kind, and she wakes up in this isolated house with this man who claims to have saved her. The premise of this book sounds a lot like this movie that I absolutely love called 10 Cloverfield Lane. So that's kind of what drew me into it. And I never knew that that's what this book was about. So I'm actually kind of excited to get into that one. The next book is Dead of Winter by Kealan Burke. I'm pretty sure, even though this is like a very tiny novella, that this is an anthology. Kealan Burke has a lot of very short novellas like this one, most of which are just like one story. So I've never actually seen somebody do an anthology that is this short, and I find that very intriguing because horror is done so well, in my opinion, like short form in novellas and stuff. So if he can pack a couple of stories into a book that's this short, I am so intrigued by this and I absolutely cannot wait to pick this one up. And then next up is another book that is on my Kindle. It was on Kindle Unlimited, but I'm seeing a lot of my booktubers that I watch recommend this one. So that is The Overnight Guest by Heather Gudenkauf. This book is about a woman who retreats to a little isolated farmhouse to write her book. She is absolutely loving being by herself and the cozy atmosphere, being snowed in. She's all about it. But the catcher with that one is that a couple decades before, 2 people were murdered in this house and a little girl went missing without a trace. I don't know if this is going to be like haunted vibes. It's sounding very mysterious and secretive, and it's drawing me to the synopsis. So I'm picking that one up for sure. And last but not least, this book is one that I have been anticipating all year long, and I've been saving it for December for the Buzzword title challenge, which this month is alliteration. So outside looking in, this does not look like a winter thriller, but I actually found out that a lot of scenes in this book take place around Christmas. So I was like, oh my God, how perfect for me to add it to this reading vlog. But Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent. I am highly anticipating this book. All that I know is that this is about this neurodivergent girl whose father passes away, and she does something very strange after he passes away. And then she starts becoming like the main suspect in her father's murder. So very, very interested in this one. I don't want to know much more about that. I just want to go right into it. So that is the TBR that I have set for this reading vlog, and I'm so excited to get into all 4 of these books. Right now, I'm just kind of cleaning up a little bit. I just want to finish getting all of this stuff cleaned and put away from like our Thanksgiving. Tomorrow, Jazz is actually coming over and she's going to help me put out my Christmas decorations, decorate my Christmas tree, all of that good stuff. So I think I'm probably going to start on Voices in the Snow, since that's the only one that I have an audiobook for at this time. And I'm going to get to cleaning and getting my house ready for Christmas decorations. I'm so excited. So it is Monday now. I'm home from work and I'm about 50% of the way through Voices in the Snow by Darcy Coates. Since we have our Christmas decor put up now, I had to film in front of my Christmas tree, obviously. When I initially read the synopsis of this book, it was reminding me of, like I said, 10 Cloverfield Lane, but this one is taking a completely different direction than what I was expecting. I for sure thought it was going to be more linear to that movie and like the storyline and everything, but this is a lot different. So that's a surprise, and I actually really like that. Our main character's name is Claire, and in the very beginning of the book, we are immediately thrown into the icy, dangerous snowstorm vibes that I was looking for with this book. She's going to pick up her aunt and then take her aunt back to her sister's house so that they can all be together in this bunker, because there's something going on in this world that's kind of dystopian. Like there's a situation happening that's like end of the world-esque. People are being told to take immediate shelter. We don't exactly know what is going on or like what the situation is that's so dire. All we know is that she's in a snowstorm. It's kind of like immediate high stakes panic right away, and that is a really good way to start a book in my opinion. She's on the phone with her sister who's telling her she needs to turn around. It's not safe. She has to stop driving. Soon after, we come to find out that Claire was involved in a car accident. She's waking up in this stranger's mansion, and he's telling her that he rescued her from her car accident. She has like wounds on her and he's bandaged them and he's trying to take care of her. And our main character is a little bit distrustful of him. She does try to make a run for it when he's not paying attention, and she ends up like falling because of her injuries. He doesn't get angry at her for trying to run. He just kind of explains to her like, this is the situation. Please let me take care of you. Like, let me bandage your wounds. I want to feed you. I just want to make sure that you're okay. You needed help and I wanted to help you, so that's all I'm here for. And she's like, okay, maybe. The house itself is supposed to be self-sustainable. They have a garden and everything, and he's trying to make sure that like they have food and that they have enough stuff to last them through the winter or this horrible storm that is happening at least. She gives him a little bit of grace. And then we get to this point where they start to develop this codependency on each other since they're the only two around. She doesn't want to be in this situation. Obviously, she has family that she wants to get back to, people who are very worried about her. But she's starting to think like, you know, when I get out of this situation, I might miss this guy. Like, I might miss him. He was actually really nice and he seems to be taking care of me. So as soon as she starts getting a little bit more comfortable and letting her guard down around him, she starts having another problem. So I'm really enjoying this book so far. It's taken a different turn than what I was expecting. Like, it's went a totally different route than what I thought was going to happen. and I love when a book can take me by surprise like that, so I'm really enjoying it as far as that goes. It's not standing out significantly alongside, you know, like my favorites of all time or anything, but it still is like a really good atmosphere, very creepy and chilling, and it's perfect for this time of year. One of the things that I wanted to say about this book though is the cover is kind of confusing to me because why is there a doll? Like, I get the snow part, but there's not been any dolls in this book that I've noticed. So I'm a little bit confused about that. I feel like the cover is kind of misleading a little bit, but regardless, I still am really enjoying the book. Right now, my husband is making some baked ziti for dinner, and then we're going to have a little fire in our fire pit in the backyard. So I'm very excited. It's so cozy. I'm going to go grab a blanket and my Kindle, get all cozy, and read this spooky thriller while I wait for the ziti to be done and just enjoy the night with my husband because I'm loving it. It is the next day. It is Tuesday. I am drinking some tea because I wanted to be like nice and cozy and warm, but I also didn't want to drink coffee and be not able to go to sleep tonight. So yeah, just chilling, drinking some tea. I did finish Voices in the Snow by Darcy Coates. This is now my second book that I've read from Darcy Coates, and she has been an author that I've been putting off for so long because I know that a lot of people really like her. She has a very large fan base. The other book that I read was Haunting of Ashburn House. It was actually one that I read in my try a chapter vlog, and that one I think I gave it like a 3-star. It was like kind of middle of the road, just like a really easy to get through haunted house book. It was tropey, you know, all of the things to be expected. So one of the reasons why I've been putting off Darcy Coates for so long is because she has a very extensive long list of haunted house horror books. And in my opinion, when I am thinking of like haunted house stories, I don't really know how you can make them all that different. I was definitely caught off guard by what this was actually about. Like, it was not at all what I expected. But I will say I'm slightly disappointed. I didn't have very high hopes for it to begin with, but I'm also not like blown away by this story by any means. I actually think that it is going to be a 2.5 star, like middle of the road. I did enjoy this sort of apocalypse storyline that this one follows, but I think for the most part, that was all that it really had going for it. And the only thing about it that I really liked. I wasn't a huge fan of these characters, especially the main character. I felt like the story that was being built between these two wasn't that great. It really wasn't that significant. I don't know. I just didn't buy it. I also felt like these two made very irrational decisions, and some of the things that they went through in the book, it was like, you are being so dramatic. I feel like it's plot driven. Like, the only reason why they're making these stupid decisions in this book is for a plot point. And I just felt like that was kind of stupid. It's also the type of book that you're reading it and you're like, I could DNF it, or I could just finish it because it's easy to read. Why not? I'm already here. It's slightly entertaining. Sure. But I would say that if you're really contemplating whether or not to read this book, you could probably pass on it. The next book that I want to pick up is this little tiny novella by Kealan Burke, Dead of Winter. I think there is like 2 or 3 stories in here, so I'm really excited about that, to just kind of have that quick change of pace. I am ready to jump in, and I will let you guys know my thoughts when I have them. So it's been a couple of days since I last updated you guys. I would come home and it's cold and I want to crawl in bed and not do anything but read or watch Vlogmas videos. Today is Saturday. I finished this on Wednesday while I was waiting for my therapy session to begin. And this was actually really interesting. I was not expecting that he would have fit so many stories into this tiny little book. So this book is only 84 pages long and there was 7 stories in here, which I was totally not expecting. I mean, one of them is literally just 2 pages long, but I love short horror. I feel like it just packs that punch. And if you can make a spooky story work in as little words as possible, that makes it even creepier because there's all that ambiguity that goes along with it. So I love short form horror, and I actually really liked how Kealan Patrick Burke did this, and that they were all kind of centered around winter and Christmas. I'll probably give this one 3.5 stars just because I feel like that sums up a majority of everything that was in here. I think my favorite stories that I read out of here was probably the first one called Snowman, and I also liked Visitation Rites. I felt like those ones were super creepy, and it was creepy in the way that you didn't really understand what was happening until the very end of the story, like the last final line, and that just, it works so well. So yeah, I love Kealan Patrick Burke's writing. I feel like he always ends up serving on what I find to be really creepy and scary, and I love that. At the end of this book, he also recommends a bunch of like wintry, Christmassy thriller and horror books, and some of these I haven't even heard of, so I kind of want to look into these and see if I can read some of them. Maybe I'll do it in like a January video or something. I've never seen an author recommend a bunch of books at the end of their book, and none of these are by him. They're by other authors, which I find to be really cool. So yeah, I'm going to be looking into that. The next book that I started on was The Overnight Guest by Heather Gudenkauf. I got to chapter 16, which is page 111. This one took me a little bit to figure out what was going on because I checked out the audiobook on Libby and I was listening to it while I was working, but I didn't realize that there was 3 different storylines going on. So I was getting really confused and I kept having to like rewind it and re-listen to certain parts. So I started from the beginning and I just read to chapter 16 on my Kindle. But now I feel like I have a good understanding and I'm caught up on what is happening. So the 3 different storylines, one is back in the day and I think it's taking place in the same house, but there is a family that lives there. It's a mom, a dad, a brother, and a sister. The younger daughter is the point of view that we're reading from, and she just feels kind of disconnected from her family. She has her best friend who's coming over and she's staying the night because they're supposed to be going to like the fair the next day, and they're being, you know, mischievous. They're sneaking out. The older brother, they meet up with him outside of the house and he's like shooting a gun with his friend. The daughter Josie is like uncomfortable. She doesn't feel like she should be there at that point, but her friend is super interested and she's like, I want to shoot the gun. I want to be a part of this. And so yeah, they do that. They end up getting caught by their parents. They get in trouble. And the dad is like, why would you have your sister and her friend doing this? Like, this is really irresponsible. I've taught you gun safety. You should know these things. Her brother and her dad get into this really big fight. The dad takes the girls home and he makes the brother walk home. And so the girls are back at home, they're getting ready for bed, and the brother gets home finally, and there's like this huge blow up fight between him and the parents. Some things happen, some people die. I'm pretty sure it says that on the synopsis. And then the daughter Josie disappears. So there's that storyline, and then the present day one, which is where this woman named Wiley is renting the house. She's kind of in a bad spot with her family, with her husband and her son, and everybody's not getting along very well, so she's getting away. She's found this dog and sort of taken him in, and her and the dog get stuck at the house during this storm. But then they go out and they find a little boy in the storm, who is like on the verge of death. So she takes him in as well and is trying to like nurse him to health and make sure that he survives. He's very scared. He's not talking a lot. And it's just like really creepy, and you don't know what happened with him or why he was there. So there's like that whole storyline. And then there's a third storyline, which I did not expect because I only knew about those first two when I started reading this book. The third one is from a very young girl's point of view. You don't exactly get her age, but it seems like her and her mom are locked in like a basement or something, and her dad comes down and brings them food and everything, and he kind of seems like he might be the captor, but you don't get a lot of information because you're reading from this little girl's point of view, and it doesn't seem like she knows a life outside of the situation that she's in. So at first when you're reading it, it sounds kind of normal, and it sounds like, oh, maybe this family's a little bit strained. It seems like there's some abuse that's going on here. But as like their chapters progress, I'm starting to feel like, okay, I think they're trapped in this basement. And it seems like her dad has kidnapped her mom, and then she was born out of that situation. That's kind of what it's giving to me. So that part is very interesting, and I'm like, what is happening here? What is going on? Because I have no idea how it relates to like the rest of the story, if it even does, but it feels like I'm reading several different books right now in just this one. And I do find this one really interesting. I'm super intrigued to see what is going on here and like how these stories are going to connect. So yeah, that's what's going on in the overnight guest so far. I'm going to pick up from where I'm at right now on the audio and see if I can follow along from here now that I kind of know the basis of what I'm reading. And I do have some things that I need to get done around the house today. Like I need to clean, I need to do some laundry. And then tomorrow, Jazz is taking me out to dinner for my birthday, which is on Wednesday next week on December 10th. I do know that I'm getting some bookish presents for my birthday this year, so I kind of wanted to do all the birthday stuff in a separate vlog. That is what's going on right now. So I'm going to throw in this audiobook and start getting some of my housework done. So just a quick little update. Right now I'm waiting for Jazz to pick me up because she's taking me out to dinner for my birthday. But while I was getting ready, I was listening to The Overnight Guest on audiobook, and I did finish it. I don't know, I was kind of disappointed by this one, not gonna lie. I heard a lot of really good reviews on it, so I think I had higher expectations than I really should have. But there was an unexpected like police officer, detective point of view, and that's not really my favorite thing in books. But I did not know that that was going to be a thing in this one. So that dragged it down a lot for me. Like I was not enjoying those parts of the book like at all, and kind of wanted to skim them, to be honest with you. And then there was like this huge reveal in the book, right, that I actually predicted shortly after filming my last clip. I feel like it would have hit differently had I not read a bunch of thriller books already, because it was very tropey. It is like a common trope that I see in a lot of books, that at this point when it's used as like a twist or a reveal, I find it to be kind of irritating at this point, because it's like, I don't know, it just feels kind of lazy and like the easy way out, and not my favorite thing ever. So I ended up rating this 3 stars, expecting it to be like a 4 or 4.5 once that things started really happening. It just fell flat for me. I think I'm going to be starting on Strange Sally Diamond tonight when I get home, but I'm not entirely sure yet because my husband and I have been watching Stranger Things. We like started it over from the beginning with like the new season that came out and everything. So we might be watching Stranger Things. I might be starting this book, or I'll just have to update you once that I do start this book. but I'm very excited for Strange Sally Diamond, and I feel like part of me is putting it off just because of how highly anticipated this book is for me. So yeah, I will let you guys know an update once that I have one. It is Tuesday and I have started on Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent. I am on page 83, which is chapter 19. I am so happy to say that I am absolutely loving this book so far. Like, I am loving it. It is living up to the hype that I had surrounding it, and I'm so happy to finally be picking this up and to be loving it. Obviously, I am not extremely far into the book yet. I have only gotten this much through it. I just started on this book today and I'm already so captivated by this story and I want to know what's happening. I'm excited to continue reading it. That's all I really want to do tonight, is read this freaking book. I don't even know what to categorize this book as. It's just fiction, because it's not a horror or a thriller book. It has very thrilling elements to it, but it also has a lot of heart. And then there's a lot of like commentary about trauma and childhood, which are things that I love to read in books, as I've made very clear. Just to tell you guys a little bit of what this book is about without giving too much away, this follows a character named Sally Diamond. She's in her 40s now and she has lived with her adoptive parents her whole life. She's fully aware that she's adopted. Her parents have told her that she was found in a forest and that they adopted her, but that's not quite the truth. And she doesn't know what the truth is until present day in this book. But her adoptive parents are psychiatrists, and they kind of have a lot of notes on her about who she is and where she came from, but they don't share that information with her. She has some very strange tendencies. She does not like to socialize. She doesn't like people being in her space. She is weird around loud noises or strangers. She doesn't like physical touch or for people to, you know, hug her or do anything like that. And she's very just not sociable. She actually will go out in the town and like run errands and stuff, and she will pretend that she's deaf so that people don't talk to her and that she can just go about her merry way and do the things that she came out to do, but can avoid as much socialization as possible. So everybody knows who she is. They know her as Strange Sally Diamond because she's very weird and she's not what people are used to. Another thing about this character is that she takes things very literally. Like, she doesn't understand sarcasm. She doesn't understand jokes. Like, if you tell her something jokingly, she's gonna take it very seriously. So her adoptive mom passed away when she was younger, and then her dad has pancreatic cancer in the beginning of this book. I think this starts off right after he dies, but Sally, literally the first line in this book is her dad saying, "Put me out with the trash." He said regularly, "When I die, put me out with the trash. I'll be dead, so I won't know any different. You'll be crying your eyes out." And he would like laugh about it and joke about it, but Sally took him very seriously because she doesn't understand sarcasm, she doesn't understand jokes. So when he dies from his pancreatic cancer, she puts him out with the trash. They live on a farm that's really isolated, and anything that's not like plastic, they just burn it in an incinerator. So that's what she does with her dad's body. And then she just goes on living life as she knows it, but now she's on her own. Her dad left her some letters and stuff that said on it, "Open after I die." So she's like, okay, maybe I'll wait until my birthday. That's probably what he wanted. In these letters, he actually, in the very first letter, his intention was for her to read them like a week apart. Like, read a letter, wait a week, read the next letter. So the very first one that she's supposed to be reading actually has funeral arrangements in it, because lo and behold, he was joking. He didn't mean to put him out with the trash. And she didn't really know that. So there was a family friend, somebody who worked with her adoptive mom, who was like a nurse or something, and she's like one of the only people in Sally's life that she has left and that she feels comfortable around. Her name is Angela. And so word gets out about what Sally's done, because she just openly told somebody at the post office when she was going to run her errands, like, they said, oh, do you want to pick up your dad's pension? And she said, he won't need it. He's dead. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. We didn't see that in the paper. Like, we missed the funeral. And she said, there was no funeral. I cremated him. And they're like, what? And she says, yeah, I put him out in the incinerator and I cremated him. That's what he wanted me to do. And they're like, we're going to call the police. Yeah, we're going to call the police. And she doesn't understand why. She's like, I don't get it. I don't see what the problem is here. I don't know why you would need to call the police. He's passed away. People hate her and they think that she's a murderer. They're accusing her of potentially killing her father because they don't know whether or not he was actually dead before she burned him. They just think that she's a freak and a weirdo, and they're like, she killed her father and she burned his body, and she feels no remorse for it whatsoever. This case is going to trial and she now has a lawyer. People are finding out who she is and what her childhood was, but she doesn't know what it is. She has no memories from before she was 7 years old. The only things that she knows are what her adoptive parents told her, and she just took it for what it was and didn't ask any more questions. Her adoptive family did not find her in the forest. That is just what they told her. She actually came from a very traumatic situation that is so jarring and so creepy. Also explains a lot about why she is the way that she is, and like kind of her weird mannerisms that she's been judged for her entire life, like where those came from. At the point that I am in the book, she's starting to find out who she actually is and where she came from, and all these stories that people are finding out about her and that she's receiving letters in the mail about, but she had no idea what these letters were talking about. She's starting to figure it out and piece things together. We're also getting this really eerie point of view from this little boy named Peter, and it says it's from 1974. Peter is living in isolation. His dad keeps him in the house. And then there's this other room in the house that he hears a lot of wailing and noise from, and it sounds like there's a woman in there. His dad said that there's a ghost in that room, and so he never asks any more questions about it. He just accepts that for what it is, until one day his dad said, I need to go somewhere. You have to stay locked in this room with the ghost and don't feed her, like pretty much teaching him to neglect and abuse this woman. And he's confused, but he's like, these are the rules. This is what my dad's telling me to do. And it's just really creepy and also extremely sad to read about. Definitely look up your trigger warnings with this book if you're sensitive to some things, because there are these passages of like abuse and neglect in this book from just what I've read so far that could be very triggering to some people, because it is so distressing, but it is so intriguing. Like, as soon as I'm done filming right now, I'm just going to jump right back into this and continue reading it, because I am at this point in the book just completely sucked in and needing to know what happened, which is exactly what I wanted and expected out of this book. And I'm so excited it's not letting me down. So fingers crossed that it continues being this good, because this could be a 5-star and possibly one of my favorite books that I've read all year, right at December. I really need to uncover what's going on here and what's happening, and I'm so curious to see how this situation is going to play out with our main character, Sally, and also this other point of view. I haven't gotten to any of like the wintry Christmas scenes or anything yet, but I do know that they're in here, so it does fit like the theme, hopefully, but I'm loving this. So yeah, potential 5-star on our hands, and I'm so excited about it. It is now Thursday, and I just finished Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent. First of all, I just want to start off by saying this was a 5-star. Like, I am obsessed. This is so compulsively readable, and these are exactly the types of books that I love to read. So that was spot on. All the recommendations that I got to read this book and thinking that this book would be for me, you were right. It is. It really is. Now, the only thing is with it fitting the theme of this vlog, that I can't necessarily agree with. I didn't feel like this was very wintry or Christmassy. It was nothing like the other books that I read, which fit the prompt very well. This wasn't that, but I still am extremely happy that I read it. And if that's what got me to read it so early in the month, by all means, I loved it, so I can't complain about that. With this character being neurodivergent, I felt like there was a lot of conversation in here about how we are as humans and the way that like things that we find very normal and day to day and that nobody would even think twice about doing or saying. And when you are looking at it from the perspective of somebody like Sally, who's very literal, and like her ideas on socializing and people is just very basic, like it's it makes you step back and think like that is kind of weird that people do that, or that people think this, or that's how we socialize, this is a social norm. Like those are the things that I really like, stuff that kind of challenges the way that we think and process our daily lives, and this book does that really well. I also felt like Liz Nugent's writing was absolutely phenomenal in this. Like some of the dialogue between this main character and other people that she encounters in the book, it's just so interesting to me to read things from that perspective. Well, I feel like, you know, she's not your typical average person that you would see on a daily basis. She really does have a lot of good points, and she, I mean, I'm not saying like if your dad passes away that you should incinerate him. I just found not what she did, but who she was as a person to be really lovable. And I feel like there's a lot of books that try to do this, and they try to make a character who is neurodivergent and who does have these quirky things about them, but it almost seems forced in a lot of ways. And this character is written so perfectly well. She felt genuine. She felt like a real person, especially once you started to uncover some things that she went through in her childhood and stuff that she didn't remember, how it shaped her to be the person that she was. It just made sense. And that's what I liked about this one, is that I feel like it just made a lot of sense, and it made me think so much about people. This is not a book to be taken lightly either. It has a lot of really dark content in here and things to be warned about, things that could be triggering to some people, because there are a lot of scenes of trauma and just horrible neglect and abuse in here that you definitely should not take lightly. But I also really love books that are real, and these are things that do happen to people. And unfortunately, when it happens to somebody, some people are affected for the rest of their lives, and it completely changes the trajectory of who they were supposed to be. But also, she isn't a bad person. She's just been through a lot, and she's different. And I loved her. I really loved her. I felt like I also very much enjoyed this book because I didn't know what was coming, and I didn't know a lot about it. Of course, like I said, look into your trigger warnings if that's something you're sensitive about. But because I went into this mostly blind, I feel like that was a lot of the reason why I enjoyed it so much and why I really loved this book. This just reassures the reason why I like to read that way, because of books like this that will take me by surprise and that will make me fall in love with a character and a character's story, and that I can go into something like this figuring out for myself what I think that this book is trying to say and what these characters are supposed to mean to me. Those are the reasons why I really like books like this that just have a lot of heart. So yeah, I was anticipating that this may have been my most favorite book that I read this year, and it's definitely top of the list. It's one of my all-time favorite books now, ever. All in all, this was a really fun week for me, and I enjoyed reading these books that I read. It definitely put me in the mood for Christmas and for this like season. Even though I'm in Arizona and we don't really get like white Christmas, I still like to gaslight myself and pretend that we have seasons. So yeah. I also had so much fun on my birthday and with Jazz this past weekend, and I know I'm going to have a fantastic time with my husband on Saturday. All of that will be in next week's vlog when I do my full birthday vlog. But yeah, that is the end of this wintry thriller horror reading vlog. I hope you guys really liked it, and let me know what you thought of these books if you've read them, and please recommend me some wintry thriller and horror books because I'm always looking. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below if there's anything that you want to say. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.